Hey there, Drop Team. This is LR Knight. I am the creator of Feet First into Hell, which is an orbital drop combat in the far future. It's a sci-fi skirmish game. I'm currently running a Kickstarter campaign, although it's nearing its end now. At the time of writing this, we were about $900 and change funded. We're working towards 1,000 so that it unlocks the Rain Hell narrative campaign of 4 interlocking cooperative missions. That was a mouthful. But what I'm here to do tonight is to show you how the drop mechanics work, because the core of the game, at least the gameplay, is this dynamic orbital drop-in. Deploying from a board edge is boring, and that was one of the things that irked me about the other games that me and my friends had played. It was just kind of tedious to always be deploying from the board edge. So I wanted to explore the idea of, hey, it's tens of thousands of years in the very dark, gritty future. Why can't I do an orbital drop in a pod? You know, they look cool. I've played Halo ODST. I love the Astartes drop pods. It's kind of a staple of science fiction. Why isn't there any games that are built around it? And when I looked around, I realized that, hell, I could do it myself. And so I've spent, a month, 2 months now, really developing and playtesting the hell out of this game. And I'm having a blast doing it. So I'm really excited that there's so many people that are willing to back the project and be a part of it. The good news is, I am a big fan of rapid, customizable games. I don't like long setup because I've got a daughter and I've got a billion different hobbies. So between family life, hobby life, working out, I just don't have time to be a rules lawyer. So I fit all the rules on a sheet of paper front and back. This is probably the last time that this binder is going to show up in any of my videos, because tomorrow my first galley is coming from the printer. I don't know if I'm going to stay working with that printer, but it's going to be the PDF printout, and that's going to be pretty cool to show off, at least as like the early design stage. So the whole booklet is only 10 pages long if you count the covers, but the rules themselves fit on these 2 pages, and what we're going to be focusing on today is the drop deployment rules. They're going to be here on your screen so you can see them. It's the first phase of every round where you drop in. So just quickly to introduce my 2 forces, I've got Leodrin's Lions, at least a scatter of my drop team that I personally play, and then I've got a bunch of alien Xeno scum over here. So, and this is a pretty fair split. These guys are lighter armored but have more weapons. I'm heavier armored and have fewer weapons. So I typically have fewer models too. The armor costs a fair bit. Excuse me. So I'm going to back everybody off the board, right? Or at least out of screen so you can't see them. And what I do is I'm going to roll for initiative, roll for both players. So rolling for Leodrin. Leodrin rolled 3, typically low average for me. And now rolling for the Xeno Scum. And of course they roll 10. So the Xeno Scum are going to get to roll for their deployment zone first. The deployment zone really only matters for the first round. And in some missions, it matters for scoring points and stuff, because you need to bring things back to your deployment zone. The deployment zone system is very easy. The drop zone system is very easy to understand. There's a chart on the front page. Hell, I'll put it on the screen right now. I'm going to roll a d6. And I rolled a 1. So 1 on the drop zone means it's going to be up here in the top left quadrant. When you play with your friends, you just need to designate 1 board edge as the top. We've played narrow, we've played broad. It doesn't really seem to make any difference. So I would begin by deploying one of my units anywhere in the top corner. I can go all the way to the board edge if I want, but that's lame. So I'm going to put this guy, boom, right there, right dead smack in the middle of my drop zone. And then Leodrin's team is going to roll, and he rolled a 6. So when you roll a 6, that's actually the worst possible scenario. It's turbulence. I have to roll individually for every single unit, and I re-roll 6s. So that sucks. Let's roll again. I rolled a 4. A 4 is going to be this bottom right quadrant, so I'm going to drop Leodrin himself in right over there. Pardon the mess over there. And now I'm going to continue to deploy another unit over here. Now, this is where I have to introduce the drop scatter penalty. Excuse me. The drop scatter penalty is... it's kind of simulating the atmospheric turbulence. No matter how tightly you want that formation to be, ultimately there's going to be a little bit of fray in your declining vector. So on the first round, unless I have a special piece of gear, I cannot deploy within 6 inches of an ally. So that means if I want to deploy this guy with his shotgun, I need to lay him down anywhere within 6 inches. And I realize I threw the ruler just now out of sight. So I'm going to lay this guy down right here. That's about 6 inches from him. So that limits how closely your first formation can be. However, in the second, third, fourth, fifth round, and so forth, the drop scatter penalty reduces by 1 inch. So on the next round, I could lay him down within 5 inches, then 4 inches on round 3, 2 inches on round 2, or 3, and so forth, right? So that is where holding some units in reserve can really come in handy because you can use them to reinforce an enemy in a shitty situation. Next one, rolling again. I rolled a 1. Here's an interesting thing. So now I need to take one of my lions and I need to drop him in within no closer than 6 inches to an enemy unit. So I'm going to put him, I've got to about here is my deployment zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I'm going to put him right next to the drop pod so that he's in cover right away because he might be gunned down by those two guys over yonder. Maybe, what have I done? What mess have I wrought? He might be gunned down by those two guys if he's not in cover. So I'm thinking strategically about where to place them, but also where to press them because the enemy now has to deal with me being right in their face. So again, I continue. I'm going to place another guy within 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've put him now in a sight line so that this lion, I've put this guy, who's behind the hotel, in a sight line so that that lion that I laid down near the drop pod is no longer in partial cover from that guy's perspective. So as I'm laying units down with this drop mechanic, I'm thinking very cogently about sight lines and locations. A 5 on the drop zone is right in the center, and it is a circle 8 inches wide. So if I center my ruler, I can lay him down no closer to the other line than 6 inches. So I probably don't want to put him there at all, honestly. I could put him here, and I just want to make sure that if I put my guy here, that I'm not within 6 inches of this other unit. Nope, I'm 7. Okay. So I've got full cover from those guys. Over here, it's not too bad, and I've got kind of an open field of view of the rest of the battlefield so far. And I would just go back and forth. If I decide to keep units in reserve, I can do that, and the opponent can then just continue to lay down enemies. But once you decide to hold units in reserve, that's it. Your opportunity to give units or to drop units down is over. It's either like continue doing it every other or pass and let them do what they want to do. So there's a lot of tactics and strategy that go into the drop zone mechanic. That's it. It's very simple. The only change after this is on round 2. You can then pick anywhere on the board. That's it. You can start dropping in behind enemy lines. It can be dangerous in some game modes, especially if they're fortified. Sometimes the defenders will have a special action to shoot you out of the sky, but you can do it because that's kind of the watchword of the game. It's highly customizable, and if you want to do it, you can do it, right? So if you want to drop your drop pod into heavy anti-aircraft fire and pray to the great galaxy that you don't get blown to smithereens, you go for it, dude. It's your character to blow away. So that's it. Drop scatter penalty reduces every round, and it's nice and stable. So once you understand the mechanic, you don't even have to refer to the rules. You just got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a reroll. That's it. It's easy, right? And yet it makes every game so much more fun than deploying from the board edge. That's feet first into hell for you. Stay fierce.